In the last 12 months, I spent over 7,000 euro in online learning, and that's a significant amount of money for me. So I wanted to make sure that I really maximized my learnings from those courses beyond the duration of the course. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the brief summary of courses and apps that I tried out this year and how I made sure to get my money's worth by taking notes and incorporating those learnings back into my PKM system of choice. Obsidian. You may notice I've taken a lot more non-technical courses than technical courses, and that's because I felt like I was already getting a lot of incidental exposure. I work in IT, I'm surrounded by brilliant coworkers, I know Google Foo, and it's basically my job to learn technical things and teach it to people in a way that they might understand. So the courses that I took are more on the advocacy side of developer advocacy. But I'm hoping that regardless of what you are studying online, you'll still be able to take inspiration from how I took my notes. First are the cohort-based or self-paced online courses. The biggest one by far was the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, and that was founded by Ali Abdaal, who is a famous YouTuber if you don't know of him already, and that cost 1,326 euro and 72 cents for the Essential Edition. Now, it is certainly the biggest single expenditure on my list for courses. Was it worth it? Well, I took it in November, and that's about the time that I started my YouTube channel. So I personally think that it was worth it for what I've gotten out of this channel and the way that it's helped me package my ideas in a much more succinct and hopefully entertaining way. The course wasn't perfect, but I did get 3 different accountability groups from it. An accountability group is a group of people that have a shared objective. In this case, they're all trying to be YouTubers and trying to be content creators. And it's been really helpful for me to have other people along on this journey. I think that money was worth it for those 3 groups alone. So here's how I generally take notes on these cohort-based or self-paced courses. I have a template here called course lesson, and it looks a lot like a meeting. I also have the TVZ tag. I say that it is a meeting and it's also a class. I have the date, I have the title, I would normally put the course here, and then I have a summary. So I wait to fill that out until the very end, until I have put everything down on this log section. So let me show you what that looks like. Here's one that I did for, I think, the very first PTYA meeting. I have the summary here, there's Ali over there, and then I have a log of people that I met, and I took screenshots while he was talking on video, and then I also took a bunch of notes. I also do a one-sentence summary at the top, just like I do for meetings, so I can pull in all of these notes using a data view query and the tag or maybe, something that's in the title, and then get a one-sentence summary, or in this case, 2 sentences, of what this lesson was all about. After I create enough of these lessons, I then have kind of like a master page for it. In this case, this is my Part-Time YouTuber Academy page. And by the way, all of these are published on my Obsidian Vault. So if you're interested in what I learned, Ali in particular was very, very transparent and encouraged us to share what we learned. So it's not like I'm in breach of any copyrights or anything. You can go and have a look at my public Obsidian Vault. I'll put a link in the description to that one. So this is the Part-Time YouTuber Academy page where I have all of the weeks and every single meeting that I go to. Now you'll see I didn't go to all of them, but I did go to most. And then at the end here, now I won't show you this because I don't want to show you where people are located, but I do have a list of people that I met in PTYA along with their location and their YouTube channel so that I can reach out to them and talk shop. The next one was a filmmaking and storytelling class with Casey Neistat. I've been watching Casey Neistat for a while. He's the person that got me into YouTube. His vlogs were just so ridiculously entertaining. So I was very curious to see his process. And Casey's style is much more chaotic than Ali's. And for that reason, I really liked it. It was 226 euro and 32 cents. And it presented me a picture of YouTubing that is devoid of all the business side. Casey is all about the storytelling. It's all about the creativity. And he's much more in line with where I am on that scale. So I really appreciated it. Here's the same thing for Casey Neistat with me embedding the summary page for each of these lessons as well. And they also link out to the full notes. The next course I took was called Ultraspeaking. And this is two things. First, I paid for the course, which was 937 and 4 cents. And then I also signed up afterwards for their online learning platform, which is 134 euro per year. Ultraspeaking is all about speaking to the camera or to the public, anywhere basically that you have an audience. Ultraspeaking will help you improve the way that you speak. And a surprising way or a surprising outlet for all of these lessons that I had in Ultraspeaking was D&D. Because turns out D&D is like 4 hours of talking, whether you're the player or the DM. There's a lot of talking involved. And so the lessons of like being confident enough to be on camera made it all worthwhile. I would highly recommend it. And I also really appreciate their online platform too. I still do it with some of my developer advocate friends because I think it's something that we all struggle with. What you don't see beneath this veneer of being on YouTube is the sheer panic at turning the camera on and basically talking to a hunk of metal and plastic. Ultraspeaking helped me with that. Course number 4 is Ship 30 for 30, and this is an interestingly themed course based on writing something every day for 30 days, specifically to go on Twitter, because that's the platform with the smallest feedback loop. I picked up a lot of things from this course, but I also really like TypeShare. TypeShare is the app or platform that I think they created or had created for the course, and it turned out to be useful in so many ways that I didn't expect. It's, I guess, a way to post on Twitter, but what I really found useful was the templates. See, when you post on Twitter, they recommend that you have like a format for atomic essays, and those templates are things like 5 myths or personal story and advice. And it says, like, in the first sentence, tell people what you did that changed your life. And I found that really useful because one of the most dreaded things of a creative is looking at a blank page and just trying to write something, anything. So with the Ship 30 for 30 method, you never start from a blank page, you start with a template. And I found that a lot easier. And I've used a lot of those templates for videos as well. So video scripting is writing, and I found a lot of connections that way. Ship 30 for 30 was 318 euro and 42 cents. The next one is Master YouTube by Matt Davella. That was another YouTubing course by another creator that I really greatly admire. Matt's course was more along the lines of Casey Neistat's, where it was a lot about growing with intention and integrity, something that I really resonated with. It was about business, it was about making a living, but doing so without sacrificing your principles. Just to show you this briefly, I did the same sort of thing for Master YouTube. So I have these modules here. I took notes on each of these modules separately and then linked them back to this master page. That Master YouTube course was 281 euro and 12 cents. There are 2 other courses that I'm currently enrolled for. That's Project 24, which is like, it's a little bit different. There's a bunch of courses, and also it's a 1-year membership to a community. And then Pencil Pirates, which has just started. And it's going to be about visual learning and visual storytelling. These are my notes for Pencil Pirates. We've only had 2 meetings so far, but because of the very visual nature of this, I am also taking my notes a little bit differently. So instead of having it mostly in text, which is what I typically like to do, I'm actually doing it in Excalidraw. And okay, so it's not so great, right? I never said that I was great at drawing, but I am taking notes visually. And let me show you my second one. This was the second meeting, and this was a little bit longer. So this is using Excalidraw, and with Excalidraw, you can either do it in this pop-out window here, and that's how I normally like to do it while I have the same note opened up in my tablet. It's an iPad Pro, and I just like drawing on that because of the stylus, the Apple Pencil. But then it automatically updates here anyway, and it also embeds this PNG version of it. Check out my video where I interview the developer of Excalidraw and Excalibrain, Zolt Witsian, that was live last Saturday. Project 24 was 424 euro and 76 cents, and Pencil Pirates was 275 euro and 39 cents. So what happens with all of these disparate courses? I mean, they're all about the same thing. And so I started to build up my own notes on the topic. And it is this page called Producing Videos. As part of Ship 30 for 30, I got really into atomic essays for a while. And in one of them, I did like a workflow for making tech and travel videos online. And so I happened to put it here. This is a cool way of aggregating my thoughts on the topic. So I led with that. But then I also have different sections here. If we bring up the outline here, you'll see that I've got, a section on why to make videos, factors for success, channel strategies, pre-production processes. So I'm pulling in a lot of things that I learned from the different courses that I attended. This particular graphic is from Matt Devella's course. And in preview mode here, you'll see that there's like a little one here. And when you click on it, it goes to the reference here. So that's just a cool way of being able to cite where something has come from. This is really where most of the work happened, because it's one thing to have notes on separate courses, but it's another to combine them in the same thing. So for example, in the idea generation section, I've got a video that I made, and then I'm talking about how a framework for idea generation is PKM. This endless idea generator came from Ship 30 for 30. This forms thing is for me. The idea of signals was from Ship 30 for 30, but then there's also a part here that's quoted from Matt Diavella. So as you can see, there are bits and pieces from each course that I've kind of mashed together along with my personal spin on things. Now I find that doing this and aggregating in this way is where the real magic happens, because it's not about learning the course in the way that it was presented and being able to, I don't know, recite it off by rote memory, but it's about being able to contextualize it into something that matters to you. In my case, it's about producing videos on YouTube. So those are the courses that involved one teacher talking to multiple students, whether that was live or self-paced. But I'm kind of thinking now that maybe the best way that I like to learn, or the best way to learn for me, is when it's completely self-paced. And so I do already subscribe to some learning platforms and apps that are more for like more individual learning, because these apps and services are ones where I can just pick up anything and start when I want to and stop when I want to and go completely at my own pace. So it's not even the self-paced courses that I had earlier that I mentioned only open for enrollment at certain times. And this one is just like, I just like the simplicity of signing up once for a service for the year, and then I can just hop in and hop out whenever I want. One of those platforms is Coursera, and that was 365 euro a year. Coursera is a platform for MOOCs. That's a massive open online course, and it's really surprising the quality of the courses that are on here, because these are from real universities from all over the world on a variety of subjects. I've taken lots of courses here, everything from Python to learning how to learn to basics of Mandarin Chinese from a Chinese university. It's really cool to be able to have access to so much of this education for 365 euro a year. Now you could pay a little bit more and get like the official certificates per course, but personally, I don't really feel the need to be able to put that on my CV or anything. I think it's more important for me to actually learn the material and be able to implement that in my work and daily life. And the other learning platform that I use is Skillshare. Now, Skillshare costs €143 and 88 cents a year, and it is, I would say, mainly on the side of creativity. So there's a lot of video related courses that I've taken there, some for video editing, some for like personal branding, so more on the marketing side. My husband actually uses it to learn Portuguese. So apparently language learning is really great on Skillshare as well because it is a video, so there's audio and there's text and there's like some materials as well. And he's been really rocking it with Portuguese and really putting me to shame. So we're both getting use out of that Skillshare subscription. For the most part, I take notes on Skillshare and Coursera courses the same way that I would for the self-paced and cohort-based courses. And here's an example of the output. So this is my Python page, or how to do stuff in Python page. That was largely taken from the excellent University of Michigan's Python for Everybody specialization. I still really use this a lot. So if I go to regular expressions in Python, I just put in things that matter to me. Like if I have to Google it, well, then I'm going to put it on here so that it becomes kind of like my personal Google. And it doesn't have to make that much sense. I don't have to explain things too much. As long as it makes sense to me and is useful, then it works. So I really appreciate this. So I do this for other programming languages too. Like here is my JavaScript one. JavaScript is something that I'm currently working on, so I expect to continue to see this grow. While we're talking about JavaScript, I almost forgot a course actually. I just bought this course, The Best Way to Learn Modern JavaScript, ES6 for Everybody. So I'm going to be working my way through this. I got the master package, I believe. Yeah, this one, which was $97. I haven't started on that one yet, but I've bought it, and work is going to be reimbursing me for it as well. My last category is apps, which is more for on-demand learning. And the thing with apps is it's a little bit trickier depending on the app to take notes on it because mainly I use apps on my mobile and not on my laptop. And so I don't have the web app open and I can't send it to Readwise and all that. But let me show you what I've done so far. Brilliant is the first app I want to talk about, and it would be €83 and 85 cents per year. But it's free for me because Brilliant is a sponsor of this video. But I never promote products or services that I don't personally use every day, or at least incredibly regularly. I think I missed a few days in my streak with Brilliant, unfortunately. But you can read all about my ethics statement over here to see how I decide what companies I partner up with. You'll also see in a second how I process Brilliant lessons in Obsidian. Brilliant is a web app, and there's a mobile app too that focuses on STEM topics. But the way that it handles potentially dry concepts is really refreshing. I'm a developer advocate by profession, but I'm mostly self-taught. That means that I picked up what I could from my coworkers, from researching on the internet, and from on-the-job experience. So I still feel like there's a lot of fundamental things that I missed because I didn't go to school for computer science. So of course, when I started using Brilliant, I chose the Computer Science Fundamentals course. And I've been pleasantly surprised to find out just how much it's teaching me on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of foundations and basic principles, kind of like algorithms thinking, and also on the higher end, where now on Brilliant, I'm actually learning Python on Brilliant. And the fact that they're able to do this in an app that can teach you something in like 10 minutes a day is pretty mind-boggling. Here's the lead into a subject that I know very well, application performance. But instead of jumping into a theoretical definition of latency versus throughput, this lesson talked about a baker named Pierre who wanted to sleep in as late as possible. Relatable. By the time the course got around to saying the words latency and throughput, both concepts had already been explained in real-world terms. I've explained this topic so many times and never in such an elegant and simple way, unfortunately. Since Brilliant is web-based, I was able to use the Readwise Reader browser extension to bring in parts of the lesson to my Obsidian vault. Here's what that looks like when Readwise brings it over to Obsidian using the Readwise official plugin. This was a lesson about two different sorting algorithms and how to determine their performance. And here's one of my highlights about the number of comparisons between array elements being the cost that you can assign to algorithms, specifically sorting algorithms. However, the best workflow that I found involved just going through the Brilliant lessons on my mobile app because it's handy and I always have it and I can always spare a few minutes with it and not worry so much about taking notes then. And then later, when I get back to my laptop, then I go into the wiki section, and their wiki is a lot more of a detailed look into each of those topics. They're also presented in a way that lends itself really well to being sent to Readwise and highlighted. The Readwise Obsidian official plugin imports them in this format. So I've got my awesome TVZ tag, which just is a signal that I haven't processed this yet. This is one about algorithms. And here are the different highlights that I took on the wiki page. You'll have to check the price in your currency, but for me, Brilliant is about €7 a month on the annual plan. But I recommend that you just get started for free by clicking on the free trial link in the description below. It's also a cool way to support me and a good way to support a really awesome company trying to do great things. Some other apps that I use, and actually some of these I've been using for all of these I've been using for years, are Duolingo Plus Family. This is €122 and 99 cents. I pay for this for myself and for my husband. I think I have 16 languages that I've learned on Duolingo now. Some of them are useful, like Dutch, and have given me literally a new home country and an entirely new life I never thought to dream of. And some of them are just for fun, like Klingon. There's Headspace Family, which is €101 and 19 cents a year. This is also for my family. And I guess you could say it's not really a course, but I think that it is. It's just a different type of course rather than more of an academic style. It's more about learning awareness and learning how you're feeling. Italki is an app that I swear by. I've been using it for years. I do have a referral link for this, but that referral link is only going to give me Italki credit. So please use it if you think that you want to learn a language, because then I can learn more languages. This is the way that I learn languages, really. I'm very conversational based because I like to learn languages so that I can talk to people. That's always my first priority. And it doesn't make sense if your primary goal is to be able to talk to people. It doesn't make sense to learn grammar first or to learn, I don't know, spelling or pronunciation. I mean, just book a lesson with one of their teachers, whether a community tutor, meaning someone who's just a native speaker, or like a formal teacher. So I use a formal teacher for my more advanced languages like Spanish or Dutch, and then I use community tutors for pretty much every other language. And this is the way that I've always been learning languages. And the last app that I'm going to mention is Memrise, which is €99 lifetime. So I really love Memrise because it's in a flashcard style, but it has a focus on mems, which are mnemonic devices. So when it teaches you a word, it doesn't just teach you the word in, say, Swedish and then English or whatever language you're using to learn it. It also has a mnemonic device that you can use. It could be a picture, or it could be something with the words that kind of hints at the meaning. And I really like that approach. For €99, it's a steal. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. I've been subscribing like on a monthly basis for years. I probably should have just bought lifetime up front. I'm going to talk about language learning in Obsidian in another video because this is a whole other topic and I have plugins and workflows that I want to show you. I'm going to leave that for another video. As you might surmise by that little doodad and the fact that I've spent over €7,000 this year on learning, learning in general is important to me. It is part of my job. It's part of what I like to do for fun, honestly. And most importantly, it's part of my identity. And so I don't regret for a second or for a euro everything that I've spent on learning because it's an investment in the future. But it's partially because of the fact that I fulfilled my deal to incorporate those learnings into my PKM that I don't regret it. Because I think that it may not be worthwhile if I didn't have those notes to look back on. But now that I do have them, I know that 10 years down the road, like I'm starting to do now with my notes from 10 years ago, I'm going to be able to still glean insights from the things that I'm learning now. If you'd like to see the nitty gritty of how I would process some new topic, some article on a topic that's pretty new to me, then check out this video on how I keep up with tech trends using Obsidian. What else? Vi ses nästa gång, and thank you for watching.